Hello, and welcome back to Moveeno. Today, I'm going to recap the 2019 movie titled The Silenced. Sit back and enjoy. The movie begins with a TV report where a deadly pandemic has spread across some states in the north of America. This deadly pandemic is so serious that anyone who speaks will die. In a news report, we see graphic images of some people that fell victim to the pandemic. Elsewhere, a video shows a terrified woman recording herself inside a vehicle. Her daughter sits in the back seat with her mouth taped so that she doesn't scream, and the woman is seen holding a sign that says "Don't make noise." Because of this, the government has declared a state of emergency by instructing everyone to stay indoors and switch all their phones off. In just a few days after the announcement, the pandemic has already destroyed a large number of people in the country. In a subway, there's blood and dead bodies everywhere. Survivors have taken refuge inside some coaches and look very frightened. In hopes to see an end to the pandemic, a nursing mother makes an effort to quiet her crying baby, but with no success. A group of passengers suddenly get terrified of the noise and proceed to kick the baby out of the train. But the caring mother decides to leave with him. Sadly, in just a matter of seconds, something strange suddenly attacked them. The movie then flashes back to where and how it all started. A group of archaeologists are seen digging through a cave that has never been explored, which is 1,000 feet beneath the Appalachian Trail in Pennsylvania. As they dig, they come across a massive dark chamber and begin to celebrate. However, they suddenly begin to hear strange noises coming from within. Seconds later, the researchers are suddenly attacked by strange flying creatures that kill them instantly as they fly out of the cave. We are then taken to a high school in Montclair, New Jersey. A deaf young girl named Allie Andrews is waiting for a bus when she realizes that a group of young guys are mocking her because she's deaf. She decides to walk back home after ignoring them. Allie lost her hearing ability after a car accident a few years ago. In the accident, she also lost her paternal grandparents. Despite her setbacks, she communicates with others through sign language, lip reading, and speaking. Meanwhile, a guy named Rob catches up to her and decides to walk her home. Amazingly, the two have a major crush on each other, but always shy to admit it. At work, Allie's father, Hugh, receives a call from his wife Kelly telling him that their daughter was again bullied at school. Even though he's upset by this, he can't do much about it. Ever since Allie lost her hearing, her parents have become very protective of her to the extent of having quarrels about it. The Andrews family resides in a cool neighborhood together with their pet dog, Otis. Allie has a brother, Jude, and Lynn, her maternal grandmother. Later that night, Rob sends Allie a random video of what appears to be a flock of birds that look like bats flying somewhere. At dawn, Kelly wakes up Allie to come downstairs. She could see her entire family watching TV in the living room looking worried. They have all windows closed. The fireplace has also been covered by plastic. There is a report on the TV that several U.S. cities are under attack by an unknown species of pterosaur-like creature referred to as vesps, through the activities of some researchers. After blasting through an ancient rock that was sealed off for millions of years, those creatures were released. The creatures are attracted by noise and can kill humans within seconds. Because of this, the U.S. government has declared a state of emergency by asking people to stay indoors and avoid noise-making at all costs. As everyone is terrified watching the news, Allie suggests that the family move to the countryside because it's more quiet and safer. Hugh agrees and everyone starts packing their belongings. Glenn, a very close friend to Hugh, also joins them, and together they hit the roads to the countryside. Along the way, the family stops to refuel their vehicles at a gas station. Allie decides to take the dog out to pee. Hugh also tries to keep his son Jude entertained. Suddenly, Allie starts screaming and Hugh quickly runs to her. A criminal has held her at gunpoint, demanding the keys to their car. Just before Hugh was about to comply, Glenn shows up and shoots the robber in the foot. The terrified family take the man's gun and drive away. The criminal was left behind to be killed by the creatures. Despite their escape, they come across a massive traffic jam that's blocking the major highways. Glenn suggests another way and they go off-road. While Glenn was driving through the countryside, he suddenly comes across a herd of fleeing deer. In an attempt to avoid a crash, he ends up tumbling down the slope. Hugh and the rest of the family quickly run to check on him and fortunately find him alive. But unfortunately, he is trapped inside the car. They tried their best to save Glenn. They tried using a nut wrench to open the door and called 911, but didn't work out. Sadly, Glenn realizes that he is eventually going to bleed out as no one can rescue him. He asks Hugh to hand him his gun and leave with his family. But Hugh didn't want to leave his best friend alone. But for the safety of his family, he has to. Just before they leave, Otis senses something and starts barking continuously. The noise attracts the vesps and they quickly start attacking the vehicle. Since the vesps are not stopping the attack, Glenn, who is still trapped inside the car, starts firing his gun to lure the creatures to him. By so doing, he manages to buy the family some time but gets himself killed in the process. However, Otis keeps on barking. The only way to save themselves from the vesps is to make the difficult decision and let the dog out of their vehicle to die. Despite getting rid of the noise, they still can't drive their vehicle without attracting the vesps, so they decide to abandon it. To further distract the vesps, Hugh lights Glenn's car on fire and the family sets out on foot to find a shelter. After walking for several hours, Lynn continues to struggle with her coughs, putting the family at risk. Later that evening, they come across an isolated fenced house with a locked gate. When they tried opening the gate, a bell begins ringing and attracts the vesps. The property owner also comes out with a gun. She tries threatening the intruders, but the vesps immediately attack her. After the attack, Hugh finds a drainage tunnel that leads into the compound. He enters the house first to ensure it's safe. Hugh alerts the rest of the family and Allie and the rest enter the tunnel. Unfortunately, Jude comes across a rattlesnake which makes him scream to attract the vesps. The vesps quickly kill the snake, but they also bite Kelly's leg from outside the tunnel. To save his family from the vesps, Hugh quickly turns on a wood chipper that distracts the creatures and shreds them into pieces. In the next scene, the family eventually enters the house and have Kelly's wounds treated. Before Allie goes to bed, she contacts Rob and finds out that his parents have been killed by the vesps. She tells him to get out of the city immediately, but she loses connection before Rob's respond. Meanwhile, despite the pandemic, a religious cult is actively seeking new recruits and killing non-believers. The next day, Lynn examines Kelly's wounds again and finds out that it's infected. Hugh and Allie decide to go out to find antibiotics to stop the wound from spreading. After an hour of walking, they come across an empty town and begin looking for a pharmacy. They find one, but it is abandoned and smells of dead bodies. Hugh begins to pick the medicine while Allie explores the store. She notices vesp eggs growing inside some dead bodies inside the store. Out of shock, she mistakenly makes some noise and alerts the creatures. They are now stuck inside as several vesps enter the store. Hugh quickly comes up with a plan. He lights a mop on fire and activates the fire alarm. As the fire alarm goes off, the noise together with the sprinkler distract the creatures and allowing Hugh and Allie to safely escape. When they got out, they are approached by a reverend who seems to have cut his tongue. He appears to be the leader of the cult and is going around recruiting people. He even kills non-believers. The reverend asks them to join his people, but he refuses and they walk away. They return home safely with the medicine and begin treating Kelly's wounds. The next day, Allie informs Hugh that after watching the news, it stated that the vesps can't stand extreme cold weather, so people above the Arctic Circle are safe. Later in the day, the reverend and his cult members show up at the house. After asking Hugh once again to join the cult, he turns him down. Hugh proceeds to go back inside, but the reverend stops him and shows him a strange note which reads, "The girl is fertile." Again, Hugh ignores them and goes back inside. At that point, the reverend and his members are thinking Hugh is going to fetch his daughter for them, but he returns with a gun and points it at them. The crazy cult members are not terrified because they know he won't shoot them to create noise and put his family in danger. Hugh disarms the weapon and the cult members Finn Allie leave him alone. In the night, Allie gets a message from Rob who tells her that he has decided to seek refuge by heading to the north. The north happens to be the place where everyone can be safe from creatures. Sadly, Allie loses her phone signal before getting to ask him more about it. Around midnight, Hugh and Kelly hear loud noises from outside the house. He quickly checks the main door with his rifle. Kelly decides to wake Lynn and Jude up. Hugh doesn't see anyone at the door. However, Jude sees a little girl his age standing outside. The girl looks terrified, so Kelly allows her inside. The family provides her with a warm blanket and begin interrogating her, but the little girl does not respond. Kelly notices some scars around her jaw and inspects her mouth. They quickly discover that the girl doesn't have a tongue. She is a member of the cult, and most likely sent by the creepy reverend. At this point, the family has been set up. After checking her waist, they discovered that she's been strapped with multiple mobile phones. At the same time, Allie wakes up in her room and notices a cell phone taped to a cross on her window. Suddenly, the phone alarm goes off and the noise attracts the creatures, making Allie very terrified. At the same time, the phones strapped to the little girl also start making noise and the family struggles to take them off. Hugh manages to dump the phones in water while Allie runs into the living room. Meanwhile, the creatures start breaking their windows. While Hugh and Jude try to keep the vesps out, Allie and the others quickly go into the basement to hide. When they entered the basement, Allie is unfortunately grabbed by some masked cult members who have been waiting for her. Kelly tries to fight the men but gets kicked into the wall and falls down. The men take Allie out together with the little girl. Lynn quickly gets out of the house and follows the men outside. She grabs 2 of the 3 men and signals Allie to run. She quickly runs, and when she got a bit far, Lynn starts screaming while still holding the 2 men. The noise attracts the vesps and they quickly rip them into pieces. The rest of the family comes outside but cannot do anything. At that moment, the reverend shows up and grabs Allie. The reverend signals Hugh to stay silent and then he leaves. However, Hugh, Kelly and Jude use the rain to their advantage and quietly follow them. They launch a surprise attack and Hugh strangles the cult leader with a rifle, but he manages to stab Hugh in the waist with a knife. However, Hugh gets up despite the pain and knocks the cult leader down with a headbutt. After taking out the other cult members, Kelly helps her husband by taking the knife out of his waist. When the Reverend attempts to get up, Hugh uses the rifle to knock him multiple times until he dies. After the incident, the family returns home while the tongueless girl walks away with her mother. A few weeks later, we see the family trekking across the country. Initially, they arrive at the safe haven, known as the refuge. In the final scene, Allie and Robert are seen hunting vesps in the forest. Please like and share this video to help the channel out. Subscribe to see more videos like this. Thanks for watching.